ABC Radio Brisbane.
With Cathie Schnitzerling.
First rule of discovering a snake in close proximity to where you are or where you live: don't try to catch it or kill it. It might just kill you instead, unless, of course, you know what you're doing. So how do snake handlers learn how to handle snakes? Well, they go to a snake handling course, of course. Christina Zdenek is an approved snake handling course operator and joins me now. Hello, Christina.
Hello.
Who attends your courses?
Well, we have a range of people. We've got ecologists who are needing to do surveys like environmental impact statements. We've got swan and spotter catchers who manage wildlife for the construction and resources industry, but also veterinarians, vet nurses, zookeepers, people who want to keep snakes themselves at homes, and even, like you said, property owners who want to manage snakes themselves because maybe there isn't a snake catcher or they don't want to wait hours, which reduces the chance that you actually be able to catch a snake, or they can't afford one. So they might want to be able to manage it themselves and manage that risk, particularly if they've got dogs or something like that. But we also have an interesting group, and that is people who fear snakes.
Oh.
And this is a surprise, but yeah, they try to undertake exposure therapy to, release their mind from the prison of that fear of snakes.
That takes a lot of courage to confront something like that, I'd imagine, because a lot of people do hate snakes. They're very frightened of snakes.
Yes, they're definitely an unfairly maligned group of animals, and that's largely because we don't understand them. They're so dissimilar to humans, and there's not that much research that goes into them, so we don't often learn about them. But of course, they play critical roles in the environment, and they do 24/7 vermin control for us, controlling rats, mice, and the ticks and fleas that live on them that otherwise might harm our pets and cats and dogs and that sort of thing. They definitely are fearful when they come sometimes, and you could see it in their face. It's pretty remarkable to see the change over the course, but we don't push anyone beyond what they're comfortable doing at the day-long course that we provide.
Does your course involve venomous snakes?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have to include venomous snakes. We've over half of our species in Australia are venomous. They're highly venomous and they're super fast. And we would be doing a disservice, particularly to snake catchers and these ecologists that regularly encounter snakes, if we didn't include these highly venomous snakes. So even, things like eastern brown snakes, coastal taipans, tiger snakes, black snakes, death adders, and the rest.
The snakes that you use, I understand, are from your collection, and I'm not sure if that's the right word because they could be your pets. They're your snakes. Are some snakes more challenging than others?
Absolutely. There's definitely a clear pattern of personality across, even within one species, multiple individuals, even within the same clutch. For instance, we've got two death adders that were born to the same mother, and they're chalk and cheese. One is a joy to handle, and the other one just constantly wants to bite everything and flick itself off the hook. So we definitely have some challenging snakes, and we purposefully steer these animals and sort of ramp up the level of difficulty throughout the day, starting, of course, off with basic principles of the PPE and the fundamentals of handling techniques, and then go into non-venomous, and then sort of puppy dog type like personality snake individuals that we have, and then ending with ones that you sort of need to chase down the paddock that might strike at you if they are extra scared or in a bad mood or something like that. So, we train everyone up on how to see these subtle signs that they're about to do these sorts of behaviors, but also, of course, the safe way of actually contact handling, believe it or not.
Christina, as you mentioned, snakes are pretty misunderstood, and I think I've read somewhere, and maybe you even said it, is that snakes are essentially cowards and they're frightened and they want to get away probably as much as what people want to be away from them. How much theory do you go into as part of the course?
We spend maybe about 15% of the day on theory. So, people don't like to sit down when they think they want to go to a course and handle venomous snakes and they're all ramped up for it. But we feel that's a really important part to give people the fundamentals of evidence-based information about snakes. And I, of course, come from a background of producing science and new knowledge, publishing 60 scientific peer-reviewed papers, a lot of which are on snakes. So we definitely have that as part of the course. And I think people really appreciate that. We have a course booklet that they get to go home with as well, so that they can continue to study beyond the day of our course.
When you see snake catchers in action, they generally have some sort of hook that they hook the snake with. When you do the course, do you start off with snakes straight away, or piece of rope?
Yeah, we actually start out with a rope, and we color code it to help the students imagine it's a snake, and we make sure that we nip any bad habits that are starting to form in the bud before they can start getting used to it.
What bad habits?
Like one in particular is reaching down to grab the snake. And a lot of times people with a snake hook, if they've never handled a snake or used a snake hook, they go to lift the snake up, but then don't actually lift the hook and instead reach down and grab the snake. And that your hand is going into the death dome is what we call it. And that is the area where you don't want any exposed bit of your body in, because it's easy for a snake to strike there.
They're very quick.
Oh my gosh, so quick. And they're very visually acute to movement. And so, at the Australian Reptile Academy, we absolutely drill this into our students. And we tell them by the end of the day that, this is just the start of your journey. You're going to need practice. It's not a ticket to go chase coastal taipans down. This is, the start of probably a long life of journey, and nothing beats experience with many different individual snakes over a long period of time. So they must be careful.
Very. Dr. Christina Zdenek runs snake handling courses. She's published lots of papers on snakes. What safety precautions or emergency procedures do you have in place if it all goes wrong and someone gets bitten?
Of course. So prevention's always better than cure. So it's all about standing still if the snake's right at your feet. Don't try to anger the snake, these sorts of things. However, if an accident does occur, like what you described, we have compression stretchy bandages on hand everywhere throughout the course that we would simply instruct the person to stay calm. We'd remove the snake from the situation. So remove the dangers, your doctor's ABC, just like normal first aid. And then we'd apply this stretchy compression bandage. And so it's called pressure immobilization technique. And we'd be ringing OOO to, get them to hospital as soon as possible. It could be a dry bite, but you don't know. And so, we definitely want to keep our students safe. But I'll tell you, we've had over 520 students in the 7 years we've been operating and not a single bite. So we're pretty proud of that stat.
Yeah, you should be pretty proud of that. While we're talking about what happens if you do get bitten, and this is outside of the course, separate from the course, previously when I've covered this topic, I had a caller ring in and say that he had used a tourniquet and a pocket knife.
No.
So please tell us why that technique is the wrong one.
So that is definitely antiquated. Never use a tourniquet, no matter where you are in the world, to treat a snake bite. In Australia, we use the pressure immobilization technique. It's stretchy compression bandage, and it slows the travel of venom because it's initially in the lymphatic system, not necessarily or very rarely it's in the bloodstream. And so you're preventing it from getting to the bloodstream where it does a lot of its damage. So if you were to actually a wound by cutting it, like what sounds like this person did, you could be completely exacerbating the effects of venom, because a lot of our Australian snakes, they disrupt the blood clotting system of our body. And so it means you're unable to clot and you could bleed out. And so you imagine you just created a wound that you need to clot, and you're totally making the situation worse.
Yep, snake kit with compression bandage, the way to go.
Yep, super easy. You can bring it even on a run. And then, of course, a way to ring somebody. Those two things essential for no matter where you're going in Australia. Sure.
Christina, once again, it has been fascinating talking to you, and I'm glad that you do the work you do and I don't.
Okay, thank you.
Dr. Christina Zdenek from the Australian Reptile Academy, who runs snake handling courses.